The drums pounded like hearts hungry for union. Feet stamped the earth, but the sky stayed dry. The whole village danced, but not a drop of rain came. It was the season for blessings, yet the clouds held their silence. Elders side-eyed the heavens, whispering through teeth. The ancestors are watching, but not smiling. The bride walked slowly, head bowed, steps soft like ash. Her smile held no roots. It was stretched too wide and ended too fast. The beads around her neck shifted, as if uneasy. The women noticed. The men looked away. The groom barked with laughter, poured palm wine without sharing. His chest puffed like a cock before dawn. When he grabbed her hand, it looked more like claiming than holding, and the mother beside him smiled, not with pride, but with victory. That kind of smile knew what pain was coming. Goats cried before the blade. Blood soaked the soil meant to bring fertility. But the wind refused to carry the smell of feast. It carried only dust. The dancers kept dancing, louder now, as if volume could cover the dread. But something was missing. Even the birds stayed away from the sacred tree. When the couple stepped into their new hut, the sky groaned. A thunderclap split the air, but no rain followed. Just silence, and behind the silence, something else. A cry. That night, the scream broke like dry wood snapping. Sharp, sudden, echoing too long. No one moved. Not even the dogs barked. Feet stayed inside huts. Hands gripped sleeping mats. Eyes stayed shut. "It's their wedding night," someone said. "Don't interfere." Inside the walls, tears soaked a wrapper. Her body shook. Not from joy, not from shyness. From fear. She called out once, twice, but only the wind answered. In the morning, an elder rubbed ash into his palm and muttered, "A wedding with no blessing is a seed in dead soil." The earth had heard. So had the spirits. And they were not pleased. The beads rested on her neck like memory. Passed down through hands that had known war, hunger, and marriage, they were a mother's final gift. Red and white, polished smooth from years of wear. Worn during rites, worn during birth, worn on this cursed wedding day. But he looked at them with disgust. "Cheap trinkets," he spat, before tearing them from her throat. The thread snapped. The beads scattered across the floor like lost blessings. No one picked them up. He ordered her to kneel when he ate, bow lower when she greeted, serve quicker, speak less. She did all he asked. Still, his hand found her cheek. His foot kicked her calf. His voice cursed her name. She cooked with trembling hands. She cleaned in silence. She bowed until her spine ached. His mother watched it all, her arms folded like stone. Not once did she blink. Not once did she speak. "That is how marriage must be," she later whispered to another woman. "We endured. So must she." When her lips split, the children laughed. When her eyes swelled, the elders shook their heads and looked away. No one helped. No one asked. "She must have angered him," someone said. "A woman who speaks too much invites her own shame." At night, she swept the beads into a corner. Dust covered them. Ants marched across them. They once sang of heritage. Now, they told no story. No one asked where they came from. No one asked what they meant. Every bruise she carried, she wore like clothing. Every task she did was never enough. Not warm enough. Not clean enough. Not obedient enough. And still she stayed. The sacred beads remained buried in shadow. The gift of her bloodline ignored. Her name erased and replaced with silence. And in that silence, something ancient stirred. Laughter roared through the courtyard. Cups clinked. Hands slapped backs. He laughed loudest, always at the center, always fed, always praised. She stood behind him, silent. She poured the drinks. She cleared the bones. She wore no joy. When eyes were on them, He touched her waist like she belonged. When eyes turned away, he twisted her arm until she winced. The same hands that lifted her in dance squeezed her in warning. No one asked why her shoulders stiffened when he laughed. In gatherings, her voice was never heard. Not once, not even a greeting. He told them, "She is too shy. She doesn't think much anyway." And they believed it. Nods followed. Chuckles too. "You've tamed her well," an elder grinned. They thought silence was obedience. They thought obedience was peace. They did not see the war behind her eyes. She swallowed pain like porridge. Night after night, her cries slipped through the cracks of the hut. They blended with the night air. The dogs didn't bark anymore. They were used to it. "That is marriage," a woman said while pounding yam. "A quiet wife keeps a strong home." But the river near her hut began to speak. The breeze changed direction when she passed. The water carried whispers only she could hear. It rippled without wind. It watched. The village saw her bruises and looked away. But the river didn't. And one night, it began to whisper her name. She walked the path near the market with heavy steps. Dust clung to her feet like shame. Then a voice, soft but sharp, broke through the stillness. "You cry too much for a newlywed." The words hung like smoke. The old woman didn't look up. Her eyes were cloudy, pale like storm water. Her back bent like a question. "How did you know?" "The spirits of women before you scream through your tears." A wrapped bundle passed from wrinkled hand to trembling fingers, tied in red thread, warm to the touch. The old woman leaned close and whispered, "Not yet, but soon." Then she turned, bones creaking, walking as if guided by wind. But he had seen. He stood with arms crossed, eyes burning. One slap echoed through the market. Faces turned, then turned away. No one moved. No one spoke. Her cheeks swelled. The bundle fell. She picked it up. Only a child ran. Feet pounding, breath short. He ran straight to his grandmother's hut, eyes wide, mouth open. But the words tangled in his throat. By morning, the old woman's mat was empty. Her door unlatched. Her cooking pot cold. She had vanished like dust in strong wind. Some said she had died. Others said she had never lived. But the boy swore he saw her standing by the river, speaking to no one, listening to everything. And from that day on, no woman walked the market path without glancing sideways. Because sometimes justice starts as a whisper, and the spirits listen from the shadows. His rage boiled without reason. His hand struck again. But this time it wasn't inside the hut. It was under the sacred Irako tree. A place meant for silence. A place meant for oaths. Not blood. Her back hit the trunk. The bark cut deep. Blood dripped onto the roots. Roots older than the village itself. And the wind screamed. It tore through the leaves like a warning. The air turned cold. The drums stopped beating in the distance. No one came. No one dared speak. The tree had seen too much already. At dawn, the birds stayed away. Not one feather landed on the branches. Even the monkeys fled. The priest felt it first. His knees shook. His sleep broke before the sun rose. He saw red water rushing through the village paths, sweeping mats and masks away. He saw the tree weeping sap like blood. He woke gasping. He went straight to the square. His voice trembled. "A woman's sorrow will flood this place, and the tree will not protect us." Some listened. Most looked down. But the one with fire in his voice only laughed. "The spirits are old, toothless. Let them bark." He walked away, dragging the pride of a man who feared nothing, not even curses. That night, her eye refused to open. Her cheek pulsed like fire. Her body burned under cloth. But her hands still moved. She crawled back to the tree. Her breath shallow. Her feet scraped. She laid at its base and pressed her forehead to the roots. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "If I die, do not let me die quietly." The leaves above her trembled. The trunk groaned. The wind circled once, then stilled. And the sacred tree creaked, not from age, but from listening. "She brings bad luck," the older woman said, her lips thin with bitterness. "Send her away before she ruins your name." But he didn't. He wouldn't. Power made him greedy. Her pain fed his pride. Her silence pleased his shadow. He kept her close, only to keep her beneath him. She tried once. She waited until the sky turned red, until his drunken breath filled the hut. Then she slipped out with bare feet, wrapped in nothing but hope. He caught her by the river, dragged her back like a goat for sacrifice. Her feet scraped against the dirt. Her cries fell into the night, like leaves no one bothered to sweep. That same day, a young girl watched, small hands clutching a calabash, eyes wide with knowing. She had seen this before. She had heard her mother scream. Once, when the girl brought her water, she didn't speak at first, just held the bowl until it was taken. Then a whisper, soft and trembling. "Don't give up. You are stronger than you look." The words cracked something open, and for the first time in moons, a smile returned. It was small, faint, but it stayed. That night, her fingers touched the old bundle hidden in her wrapper, the one wrapped in red thread, the one left by the woman with cloudy eyes. It hummed, a low, pulsing sound, not heard with ears, but felt in the chest, like a drum calling from deep inside a cave, like a name being remembered. She didn't unwrap it, not yet, but something inside stirred, like breath under ashes, like rain hiding behind the clouds. The wind shifted around her hut. The flame danced sideways, and the leaf bundle grew warmer. In that moment she knew she would not vanish. She would rise. The fire inside her didn't roar. It didn't shout. It simmered, slow, hot, steady. She burned the food one morning and didn't say sorry. She hid his sandals in the bush and watched him curse the earth. She spilled palm oil across his favorite wrapper. He shouted, but she no longer trembled. He struck her once, but her eyes didn't water. He called her names, but her mouth stayed closed, like a gate guarding something sacred. He grew angrier, but she grew stiller. Each night, she whispered names into the darkness, names passed down from womb to womb, names carved into bones and buried with honor, names of women who fought, bled, endured, and rose. She did not pray. She remembered. That was enough. Her dreams bled into color, red, then gold, then black. Shapes twisted, waters churned, drums echoed inside her chest. In one dream, a voice spoke. The river remembers. She woke before the sun. She walked barefoot to the water. The leaf bundle still hummed in her hand. She untied the red thread, unwrapped the layers, and let it fall into the river. The water shimmered, then warmed, then vanished, just for a breath. Gone like a gasp, the bed of the river showed for the first time. Smooth stone, sacred roots. Then it rushed back. From the depth, a fish rose, scales red like embers, eyes round, still knowing. It circled her feet, then followed her home. She did not speak of it. She did not shout, but her silence shifted. There was weight beneath it now, like thunder before rain, like wind before fire. She washed his clothes without fear. She served his food without bowing. She watched him without blinking. The bundle was gone, but something older had returned, and her silence now held a voice loud enough to shake the ground. The beating was worse than before. Flesh against floor, hands like thunder, silence after the storm. But that night she rose. No trembling, no whispers, only footsteps, Bear. Slow. Sure. She walked toward the river. The one that watched. The one that waited. Her body ached. Her jaw stiff. But her feet moved. She stepped in. The water thrashed. Frothed. Then stilled. Then it parted. It split down the middle like fear before truth. Left and right, it bowed. Around her legs, dry earth showed. Fish scattered. Light shimmered beneath her steps. A boy hiding behind a tree saw it all. His voice shook when he ran. She vanished like mist. By dawn, her bed was cold. He searched the corners, kicked the door, cursed the walls. His roar woke no one. The elder woman hissed, "Witches took her," and spat 3 times to the ground. But the red-scaled fish was gone too. For 3 days, no one saw her. No footprints. No movement. Not even a whisper. Just wind. And then, the 4th morning came. Her hut, once heavy with pain, burst into flame. No oil. No spark. Just fire, tall and roaring. The villagers stood and stared. No water came. No one fetched a pot. No one shouted. They let it burn. And as the flames ate the roof, someone said, "She was never meant to stay in that place." Only the wind answered. And the river kept flowing, quiet now. Watching, on the 7th sunrise, she came back. Bare feet, steady stride. A mask of black and gold covering her face. Lines drawn like rivers, symbols carved like thunder. The villagers froze. Even the wind stopped to watch. Her steps didn't falter. She walked as if led by something older than time. Her eyes, sharp, silent, sliced through people like blades. No one dared ask where she had gone. No one dared speak her name. The priest saw her and fell to his knees. His mouth opened, but no words came. Only a whisper escaped. "You walked where spirits walk." Children followed behind her. Not playing, not laughing, just walking. The dogs barked once, then lowered their heads. She stood tall in the square, the place where shame once lived. She turned to the man who used to call her wife. "I do not belong to you," she said. Gasps rippled through the air. Elders clutched their mats. The women covered their mouths. He laughed, loud, forced, broken. But his hands trembled. That night, the drums stayed quiet. No one sang. No fire danced. By morning, his left arm hung limp, cold as stone, useless as guilt. The village began to whisper. The river sent her back. She crossed into the land of shadows. She came back with something watching. The air shifted. The sky darkened at noon. And no one called her by her old name again. She wore the mask, and the spirits watched through it. He shouted for warriors, promised gifts, promised titles. "Chase her out," he barked. But none moved. Not one spear lifted. Not one foot stepped forward. At his next feast, he called for music. The drums sat untouched. The drummers looked away. One tightened his rope and walked home. Even the chief's wife came in secret. She brought palm oil and lowered her head. "We were wrong," she said. Too wrong. The woman she once mocked now sat in silence and power. His goats died one by one. Then the chickens. Then the prized ram. No sickness. No warning. Just stillness each morning. He tried to host a naming. His name didn't appear on the leaf. He tried to attend a burial. The caller skipped over him. He was there, but forgotten. In the village square, he pointed. "She is a witch." His voice cracked like dry wood. "She cursed me." She turned, raised her hand, and pointed at the moon. "You'll answer soon." That night, no drums played. Not one. Even the young boys who practiced on pots fell silent. The talking drum hid in the elder's hut. The sticks lay cold. Even babies stopped crying. No coughs. No laughter. No birds, only silence, thick, wide, full of breath that refused to release. And the village knew. The spirits had stopped listening, because they were already here. The elders gathered in a circle, their faces carved from years and silence. They chose the sacred ground, where truth could not hide, where spirits whispered louder than men. One stood on the left, one on the right. Between them, the air thickened like storm clouds. The river priest arrived barefoot. His face was streaked with ash. His eyes did not blink. He poured libation onto the earth. The drink hissed as it touched the dust. He raised both hands and called names only the dead remembered. A wind rose, soft at first, then fierce. Sand spun into the eyes of the guilty. He rubbed and cursed, but the wind would not stop. She stepped forward, raised her palm. Inside it, beads. Broken, faded, sacred. These once honored me. The priest nodded. His voice shook the branches. Let her speak. And she did. Every strike. Every word that bruised. Every bruise that silenced. Every silence that shattered. She told it all. No tears. Only truth. The crowd listened. No one moved. No child cried. No mother blinked. Even the sky seemed to listen. The ground trembled. A crack ran through the sacred tree. Not wide, not loud, but deep. The priest turned slowly, his gaze heavy as stone. You have been judged. Laughter tried to escape from lips too slow, tongue too thick, jaw too frozen. The one who once roared fell to his knees, mouth open, no sound. He clutched his throat, his hands, his chest, but nothing moved. The villagers whispered. Some stepped back. Some covered their heads. The priest poured the last of the libation. The ancestors do not forget. They do not forgive until truth has spoken. The wind calmed. The earth swallowed the drink. And the one who once held power now held nothing, not even words. His body twisted within days. Skin sagged, hair thinned, joints cracked with every step. The color drained from his face. The pride that once stood tall now bent like rotted yam stalk. He dragged himself through the village. No one offered help, not even the ones who once laughed at his jokes. Flies followed him like shadows. Children pointed then ran. His own mother closed her door. One day, she stood in the compound and handed him a wooden bowl. Food sat inside it, warm, steaming. He reached out, but the bowl slipped through his fingers. His hands were too weak. A voice said, "Even mercy must be earned." That week, the river broke its banks. It swallowed paths, drowned footprints, covered names etched in stone. People whispered, "It is washing him away. It is removing what no longer belongs." On the 6th day, he disappeared from the square. No one searched. No one asked. By the 7th sunrise, only the wind knew where he lay. No grave was dug. No chants were sung. No fire was lit. He vanished as dust does, quiet, final, unclaimed. And the earth did not mourn him. She returned to the place where the fire had danced and built again. Not with fear, not with haste. Each stick, each wall, each roof beam held meaning. The hut stood where her pain once lived. But it held no shadows now, only light. No man entered without greeting the ground first. Voices lowered near the doorway. Feet removed dust before crossing the threshold. Women came, carrying silence, leaving with strength. They sat with her under the open roof and listened, not to answers, but to truth. Children gathered like sparrows, some for stories, some for safety, all for her presence. The sacred tree near her compound blossomed. No one had ever seen it bloom, but now flowers fell like blessings, soft, golden, untouched by insects. They named her Mother of the River, a title whispered in the market, spoken in lullabies, etched into the palm of the village. When the council met, they sent word. They wanted her voice beside theirs. Her seat was ready, her name carved in wood. She stepped forward, looked at the circle of power, then spoke. I will serve, but I do not kneel. And none asked her to, because even the earth knew she had already bowed enough. And still she rose. The full moon rose like an eye, wide, watching, waiting. That night the drums returned, but they did not rush. They did not scream. They spoke, each beat heavy, each pause sacred. Feet moved with purpose, hips swayed with memory, hands lifted not for celebration, but for something deeper. The fire climbed higher than it ever had. It touched the stars, pulled shadows from faces, and painted them in orange glow. Elders swayed, mothers hummed, children danced with questions in their eyes. And then someone gasped. The river rippled. A fish surfaced, red-scaled, glistening, still. It circled once, then disappeared. But not before every child saw it. Every elder nodded. Every drum paused for one breath. She walked to the edge. Alone. No wrapper on her shoulders. No shame in her step. She raised her hands, turned once, then again. Her feet moved with grace learned through pain. She danced alone, and the old woman returned. Her eyes were still cloudy, her voice still silent. But she watched, from the shadows, from the edge. Her head nodded once, as if she too had been waiting. The wind passed through the flames, through the trees, through the drums, and it whispered, "We see you." The priest stepped forward, his voice low. Justice is not always loud, but it is certain. No one cried that night. No child whimpered. No mother wept. Not because there was no sorrow, but because sorrow had finally been heard. And the spirits? They danced. Not in fire, not in air, but in every hand that clapped, every foot that stomped, every voice that sang without knowing why. That night, the drums did not command the village. They followed her. The place where sorrow once fell now bloomed with color. Every spot that once drank her tears now held flowers. Red like fire, blue like dawn, yellow like hope. They rose without planting. They grew without asking. And they stayed. Children laughed near the river, not out of defiance, but because fear had forgotten their names. They dipped their toes in the water that once carried silence. They played where whispers used to hide. The story spread, not as gossip, not as warning, as truth. It passed from lips to firelight, from grandmothers to girls, from uncles to boys. Her name became more than memory. It became lesson, and so they learned. Girls learned that silence is not a virtue if it carries pain. That voices, once stolen, can be reclaimed. Boys learned that strength is not cruelty. That power is not louder than wisdom. The elders shaped a proverb. The tear that hits earth grows justice. And it stayed. She sat beneath the sacred tree. The same one that once wept sap. Now it wore gold leaves, bright, heavy, sacred. Birds nested in its arms. The wind circled it like a drumbeat. She no longer fought. She no longer hid. She simply sat, breathing, knowing. A baby crawled toward her. Small hands reached out. Chubby fingers curled around hers. The child looked up, wide-eyed and unafraid. She smiled, not for the child, not for the tree, but for the path behind her, and the path ahead. Somewhere, deep below the earth, the ancestors stirred, not to act, but to rest, because their work, through her, was done. And the village finally slept without screams. It woke with songs. It danced without guilt. And for the first time in many moons, it knew peace not as a moment, but as a home.